Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel Catalyst Chemistry Classes KP. In today's class, I'm going to discuss the brief synopsis for the chapter Solid State Chemistry. So, if you are not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and share it with your contacts. Okay, students, here we have two different types of solids, crystalline as well as amorphous. So here I have given different properties like shape, melting point, cleavage property, heat of fusion, nature, order in arrangement of particles, anisotropy and isotropy. The example. So if you consider shape, crystalline solids have definite and characteristic geometrical shape with three-dimensional arrangement. If you consider amorphous solids, they have irregular shape. Then if you go for melting point, crystalline solids are having a sharp melting point, which means they melt at a sharp melting point. But if you consider amorphous solids, they have a gradually melt over a range of temperature, cleavage property. So for crystalline solids, it gives a plain and smooth surface on cutting with a sharp-edged tool. But if you consider amorphous solids, they give irregular surface when cut with a sharp-edged tool. Heat of fusion. So crystalline solids have definite and characteristic heat of fusion, while amorphous solids have not definite heat of fusion. Nature. So as we know that based on the above properties, crystalline solids are considered as true solids. But if you consider amorphous solids, they are considered as pseudo solids, or sometimes they are also called as supercooled liquids. Order in arrangement of particles. So crystalline solids have both short range order as well as long range order of arrangement. And if you consider amorphous solids, they have only short range ordered arrangement, anisotropy and isotropy. So before going to the difference, first I will clear the definition of isotropy. What is meant by isotropy? As the name itself indicates, that iso that represents same. So if you measure the physical properties like thermal conductivity, electrical conductivity, as well as refractive index, so if the particles give same value for these type of physical properties in all directions, then the substance is called as isotropic. If the substance which gives different value with different direction, then it is called as anisotropic. So crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature, while amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. Then examples. Crystalline solids are, if you consider any metals or non-metals like NaCl, KCl, BaCl2, these are considered as crystalline solids. And if you consider amorphous solids, so their examples are rubber, glass, fused silica, and plastics, and calcium carbonate. All those are considered as amorphous solids. Then type of solids. So again, crystalline solids are further classified into four types: molecular solids, ionic solids, metallic solids, as well as covalent solids. So if you consider the first type, molecular solids, again they are further classified into three different types: non-polar, polar, as well as hydrogen bonded. So if you consider non-polar molecular solids, constituent particles are non-polar atoms, or noble gases are non-polar molecules. Nature of our binding forces in non-polar molecular solids is London force or dispersion force, or it is also called as induced dipole interaction. And the examples: argon, hydrogen, iodine, solid carbon dioxide, CH4, etc. Generally, they are soft in nature and they act as insulators. And the melting point of this non-polar molecular solids are very low. Then the second type of molecular solids are polar molecular solids. So in polar molecular solids, polar molecules are the constituent particles, and the force of attraction is dipole-dipole interaction. And the nature of bonding, that is dipole-dipole interaction in case of polar molecular solids, and examples are HCl, SO2, any molecule with dipole moment not equal to 0. Then physical nature, which is also soft and which acts as insulators, and melting point is low. Then the third type of molecular solid is hydrogen bonded molecular solids. And I know that you are familiar with hydrogen bonding. So we can expect hydrogen bonding only when the hydrogen is directly attached to any of these elements, more electronegative elements like fluorine, nitrogen, as well as oxygen. So that hydrogen bonding is expect when the hydrogen is directly attached to any of these three more electronegative elements. And the nature of interaction, as we know that hydrogen bonding is itself acts as an attractive force. Example H2O, NH3, HF, etc. Physical nature, they are hard compared to other two types of molecular solids, and they act as insulators and they have low melting point. Then the second type is ionic solids. Constituent particles are anion as well as cation. And the force of interaction is ionic bond, which is also known as Coulombic or electrostatic force of interaction. Example, any ionic solids, NaCl, LiF, ZnS, MgBr2, MgCl2, etc. And the physical nature of ionic solid is they are hard and brittle. And they act as insulators in solid state, but act as conductors in molten state. And melting point is high compared to molecular solids, metallic solids. In type of metallic solids, metal ions and the electron clouds act as constituent particles. And the nature of binding force is metallic bonding. Example, all metals and their alloys. So, physical nature, as we know that metals are hard and malleable and ductile. Electrical conductivity, they act as conductors in solid as well as in molten state. And the melting point is fairly high compared to that of ionic solids and molecular solids. And the last type is covalent, or which is also known as network solids, or which is also known as atomic solids. As the name itself indicates, the constituent particles are atoms. And the nature of binding force, which is a covalent bonding. Example, SiO2, SiC, and AIN. In case of carbon, diamond, as well as graphite, these are the allotropic forms of carbon. And if you consider physical nature, they are hard as well as soft. Some covalent solids are hard and some covalent solids are soft. If you consider diamond, which is hard. If you consider graphite, which is soft. And if you consider electrical conductivity of covalent or network type of solid, generally we know that all the covalent solids are insulators, but graphite, which conducts electricity, hence it acts as conductors. And if you take the melting point, so covalent or network type of solids are having very high melting point. Among these 4 different types of crystalline solids, covalent solids are having very high melting point. Then a point that lies at the corner of a unit cell is shared among 8 unit cells, and therefore only 1/8 of each such point lies within the given unit cell, which means if you consider a cornered particle, each cornered particle is equally shared to 8 different unit cells, hence its contribution is 1/8. Here it is given. So it's 1/8. Then a point along an edge is shared by 4 unit cells and only 1/4 of it lies within one center. Like if you consider an edge-centered particle, there are 12 edges in one unit cell and each edge-centered particle which is shared to 4 unit cells equally. So its contribution for one unit cell is 1/4. A face-centered particle which is shared by 2 unit cells and only 1/2 of it present in a given unit cell means if you consider any face-centered unit cell, we know that there are 6 face-centered particle or 6 faces in one unit cell, and the contribution of face-centered particle is 1/2. And if you consider a body-centered point lies entirely within the unit cell and it contributes one complete point to the cell, which means body-centered particle that is present only one in one unit cell and which is not shared to any other unit cell. Hence, its contribution for one unit cell is 1. Then, here we have some relationship like lattice type, radius, and distance between nearest neighbors like D and packing fraction. Along with, I will also give packing efficiency. So if you consider simple cube, the radius r which is equal to a/2 and the distance between nearest neighbors like d which is equal to 2r r a. And the packing fraction of simple cube is 0.524 and its efficiency is 52.4%. Then face-centered cubic unit cell. Here the radius r is equal to a divided by 2 root 2, while distance like d, which is equal to a by root 2, and its packing fraction is 0.74 and packing efficiency is 74%. Then body-centered cubic unit cell. Here the radius r, which is equal to a root 3 by 4, and the distance between the nearest neighbors d, which is equal to a root 3 by 2, and its packing fraction is 0.68, packing efficiency is 68%. Then, so here we have some relationship like number of octahedral and tetrahedral voids in closed packed structure. In a closed packed structure of n particles, which means in a closed packed structure, if it consists of n number of particles, then the number of tetrahedral voids is equal to 2n, which means twice the number of particles, and the number of octahedral voids, which is equal to n, which means which is equal to the number of particles. Then the next important formula in this solid state is packing efficiency. So just now in the previous slide, I have discussed the packing fraction as well as packing efficiency of different types of unit cell in cube. So what is the packing efficiency and what is the formula to find out packing efficiency? Which is nothing but it's a ratio of volume occupied by total number of spheres in one unit cell divided by a total volume of unit cell, which is cube into 100. Then density of unit cell. We know that density is nothing but mass by volume. So here also we have a formula to find out density of a solid or unit cell, which is equal to Zm divided by A cube Ne, where Z represents the number of atoms, M represents the molar mass, A cube that represents the unit cell or volume of a cube, as well as Na. We know that Na is Avogadro number of particles, and the unit of density of a solid is gram per centimeter cube, because we are considering a small particles, hence it is expressed in gram per centimeter cube. Otherwise, the SI unit of density is kg per meter cube. Then summary of close packing of spheres in solid. So here you have to remember the type of arrangement, like pattern of arrangement of different layers, as well as the coordination number with respect to different types of arrangement. So close packing of spheres that explains in three different ways, like 1 dimension, 2 dimension, as well as 3 dimension. So if we consider linear packing in 1 dimension, so the coordination number is 2, and in that there is no pattern because it consists of only one row of particle. Then planar packing in 2 dimension. So we know that in 2 dimension we have two types. One is square closed packed structure and hexagonal closed packed structure. If you consider square closed packed structure, the pattern is AAA type. And if you consider hexagonal closed packed structure, the pattern is ABAB type. And here for square closed packed structure, coordination number is 4, and for hexagonal closed packed structure in 2 dimension, which is 6. And closed packing in 3 dimension. So here we have 3 different types, like 3-dimensional closed packing obtained by taking 2-dimensional square closed packing, which is going to form a simple cubic structure or primitive type of unit cell. And the pattern is AAA type because we have taken 2-dimensional square closed packing. Then the coordination number for simple cube is 6. And next type is 3-dimensional closed packing by taking 2-dimensional hexagonal closed packing. So which is going to form 2 different types. One is hexagonal closed packed structure, which means HCP, and the pattern is ABAB type because we have taken 3 dimension by 2-dimensional hexagonal closed packing. And here the coordination number is 12. Then the second type is cubic closed packed structure, or it is also called as face-centered cubic unit cell, CCP or FCC. And here the pattern is ABC type, and the coordination number remains same, that is 12. And one more thing, for BCC the coordination number is 8. So how can we remember this pattern as well as coordination number? It's very simple. For 2 dimension only. Okay, remember, it's very simple. You have to remember the coordination number for different types of arrangement, right? So we have only even numbers like 2, 4, 6, 8, then 12. There is no 10 because uh, not even a single arrangement exhibits a coordination number with 10. So that if you consider one dimension, coordination number is 2. If you consider two dimension, in that square closed packing structure, coordination number 4, and hexagonal closed packing structure, coordination number 6. And in case of three dimension, AAA type is having coordination number 6, and BCC, which is having coordination number 8, remaining hexagonal closed packing structure, a cubic closed packing structure, as well as face centered cubic lattice structure with coordination number 12. Then Bragg's equation. So according to Bragg, a crystal that is composed of a series of equally spaced atomic planes could be employed not only as a transmission grating but also as a reflecting grating. When X-ray rays incident on a crystal face, these penetrate into the crystal and strikes the atom in successive planes. From each of these planes, the X-rays are reflected like the reflection of a beam of light from a bundle of glass plates of equal thickness. So, based on this model, Bragg derived a simple relation between the wavelength lambda of the X-rays used and the distance d between the successive atomic planes, and the angle of incident X-rays or angle of reflection theta. So, according to the Bragg's equation is n lambda, which is equal to 2d sine theta, where n is an whole number integer 1, 2, 3, etc. So, this equation is known as Bragg's equation or Bragg's law. The reflection corresponds to n, which is equal to 1 for a given family of planes. Is called first order reflection. If the reflection corresponds to n is equal to 2, then it is second order reflection, and so on. Radius ratio rule. So here the ratio of radii of cation to that of radius of an anion in a crystal lattice is called as radius ratio, which is having a mathematical expression, radius ratio, which is equal to r divided by r, and r in some material you can get the formula like radius ratio, which is equal to the radius of cation r plus divided by r minus. So here the table that shows the relationship of radius ratio, coordination number, and the geometrical shape of some ionic crystal. So if the radius ratio is below 0.155, then the coordination number is 2, and the shape or geometry of the ionic crystal is linear. If the radius ratio is in between 0.155 to 0.225, then coordination number is 3, and the geometry is planar triangle or trigonal planar. If the radius ratio is in between 0.225 to 0.414, coordination number is 4, and the geometry is tetrahedral. If the radius ratio is in between 0.414 to 0.732, then the coordination number is 4, and it is square planar. And if the radius ratio is 0.414 to 0.732, then which is having coordination number 6, and it is octahedral. So here the value given is wrong. For both tetrahedral and square planar, the radius ratio is in between 0.225 to 0.414. Then the last one, if the radius ratio is in between 0.73 to 1, then coordination number is 8, and which exhibits body centered cubic structure. Then, so here is based on these radius ratio and ionic crystals are classified into 5 categories, which are as follows. So NaCl type, which is also known as rock salt type. So 1 minute, I'll take the pen. Okay, NaCl type is known as rock salt type of crystal. So here Cl minus occupies corners and face centers, and Na plus occupies octahedral voids in FCC crystal. So with coordination number, for cation it's 6 and anion it's 6, and the distance between nearest neighbor, that is A by 2. Then Sardines type of structure, which is also known as Woodside type. Woodside type. So here the S2 minus ions occupies the main position, and certain 2 plus ions are present in alternate tetrahedral voids in FCC crystal. So with the formula Zn4S4, And the coordination number for both the cation and anion, which is 4. And the distance of nearest neighbor, that is A root 3 by 4. Then fluoride type of structure. The general formula is Ca4F8. So here Ca2 plus ion occupies the main position and F minus ions occupies the tetrahedral voids in FCC crystal. With coordination number for cation it's 8 and anion it's 4. And the nearest neighbor A root 3 by 4. Anti-fluoride structure, which is just opposite to fluoride type of structure. Here the common in alkali oxides like Na2O, Li2O and O2 minus ions occupies the FCC, and Li minus ion, Li plus ion occupies the tetrahedral voids with effective formula Li8O4. And here the coordination number you can observe. For fluoride type, cation is having the coordination number 8 and anion which is having the coordination number 4. But in case of anti-fluoride type, cation with coordination number 4 and anion with coordination number 8. And here the distance between nearest neighbor, that is A root 3 by 4. Then CSCl type of structure. So here, if you consider CSCl type of structure, then Cl minus ions occupies a simple cubic location, that is corners, and Cs plus ions occupies the body center in BCC lattice. Hence, in CSCl type, which is also known as BCC type of arrangement, with a coordination number 8:8 for cation and anion respectively. And the distance between nearest neighbor, that is A root 3 by 2. Effect of pressure and temperature on crystal structure. So this is very important because you may expect one question in all the formats of competitive exams. So if you consider effect of pressure, increase of pressure increase the coordination number during the crystallization, and increase of temperature decreases the coordination number. So you can take the example. By applying high pressure, the NaCl crystal structure having 6:6 coordination number changes to CSCl crystal structure having coordination number 8:8. And if you increase the temperature, decrease the coordination number takes place. Upon heating to 760 Kelvin, CSCl crystal structure having coordination number 8:8 changes to NaCl crystal structure having coordination number 6:6. So you can remember this reaction, simple reaction. NaCl type of crystal on increasing high pressure changes to CSCl type. CSCl type on increasing temperature to about 760 Kelvin changes to NaCl type of crystal. Then crystal defects are imperfections in solids. So you know that crystal defects are classified into two types. One is electronic or imperfection, then atomic imperfection, which is also known as point defect. In general, point as well as line defect. So what is line defect or electronic imperfection? Line defect means the defect occurs in an entire row of a particle. And if you consider atomic imperfection or point defect, which means the defect occurs only at a particular point. And point defect is further classified into three types: stoichiometric defect, non-stoichiometric defect, and impurity defect. If you consider the first type, stoichiometric defect, which is known as the name itself indicates, stoichiometric defect, the defect in which retains the stoichiometric ratio of crystal. And the non-stoichiometric defect, as the name itself indicates, which changes the stoichiometric ratio of the crystal. Impurity defect, as we know that if some impurities are present in the crystal lattice, which is known as impurity defect. Okay. Further, we can discuss the types of stoichiometric and non-stoichiometric defect. If you consider stoichiometric defect, in non-ionic solids, they exist as two types: vacancy defect as well as interstitial defect. What is meant by vacancy defect? If there is some missing of ions like cation or anion from the lattice site, or missing of particles in non-ionic solids. So interstitial defect. Some constituent particles occupies a vacant interstitial position in a crystal lattice. So in vacancy defect, density decreases, and in interstitial defect, density that remains same. Okay, here in ionic solids, the stoichiometric defect exhibited is Schottky as well as Frenkel defect. Some of the ions are missing from the original lattice site. That is, Schottky effect arises due to the missing of equal number of anion as well as cation from the original lattice site. So the density of the crystal decreases. Example, NaCl, KCl. And in Frenkel defect, generally a smaller cation leaves its original position and occupies the interstitial position. So the density remains same in Frenkel defect. Example, AgCl, ZnS, AgBr. And one thing you have to remember, the compound that exhibits both the Schottky as well as Frenkel defect is AgBr, silver bromide. Then, summary of non-stoichiometric defects. So non-stoichiometric defects are classified into metal excess as well as metal deficiency defect. Metal excess defect arises due to presence of extra cations at interstitial sites, and the second way, that is anionic vacancy. So here you have to remember one thing, like in anionic vacancy, if electron occupies the anionic vacancy, that particular region is known as F center. What is meant by F center? Anionic vacancy occupied by electron is known as F center. And F center is responsible for color change in the crystal. For example, increase in Na plus ion in NaCl gives yellow color. Increase in Li plus ion in LiCl gives pink color. Increase in K plus ion in KCl gives violet color to the crystal. Then the second type is metal deficiency defect, and the defect which arises due to the deficiency of positive ions. So it is exhibited by two types, like cationic vacancy and presence of extra anions at interstitial position. Then classification of solids based on electrical conductivity. So solids are classified into three types: conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. And this classification is based on range of conductivity. So for conductors, the range of conductivity is 10 power 4 to 10 power 7 per ohm per meter, and for insulator it is 10 power minus 10, 20 to 10 power minus 10 per ohm per meter, and in semiconductors the range is 10 power minus 6 to 10 power 4 per ohm per meter. And conductors are further classified into metallic conductors as well as electrolytic conductors. So metallic conductors, the conductors through which the conduction of electricity occurs by a direct flow of electrons under the influence of applied potential, which are known as metallic conductors. The conductors in which the conduction of electricity takes place by the migration of positive and negative ions are known as electrolytic conductors. Then, so this is about the diagrammatic representation of conductors, semiconductors, and insulators. In conductors, the distance between the valence band, that is valence band as well as conduction band, is very less, means they overlaps with each other. Hence, metals conduct electricity, or conductors which conducts electricity easily. And in semiconductors, the distance between the valence band and conduction band is very small compared to that of insulators. So that if you supply some amount of energy or by applying some temperature like that, then electrons jump from valence band to conduction band. And in insulators, the energy gap or the distance between valence band and conduction band is very long, so that no electron can jump from valence band to conduction band. Hence, this energy gap is known as forbidden energy gap or forbidden range. And if you consider semiconductors, the pure semiconductors are known as intrinsic semiconductors. And we can improve the conductivity of semiconductors by adding some impurities. And the process is known as doping. So after doping, the semiconductors obtained are known as extrinsic semiconductors. There are two different types of extrinsic semiconductors, N-type as well as P-type semiconductor. Classification of solids based on response to magnetic field. Diamagnetic material. So substance that repelled weakly by external magnetic field because of the absence of unpaired electrons are known as diamagnetic. Generally, they act as insulators. Example, benzene. Paramagnetic substance. They are weakly attracted by external magnetic field because of the presence of unpaired electron, and that as electronic devices applications. Example O2, Cu2 plus, Fe3 plus, Cr3 plus, any ion with unpaired electrons. Then ferromagnetic materials. So these are strongly attracted by magnetic field because all the unpaired electrons are oriented in a same direction with respect to magnetic field, so that they are strongly attracted by magnetic field and they act as permanent magnet even in the absence of external magnetic field. Application: CrO2 is used in audio and video signals, that is tapes. Example: FeNiCO, and CrO2. Then antiferromagnetic materials. So antiferromagnetic is just the opposite type of ferromagnetic type. Here, equal number of unpaired electrons are oriented in opposite direction so that magnetic moment cancels each other, so that they are repelled by external magnetic field. And these are used in instruments of magnetic susceptibility measurement. The example for antiferromagnetic material is MnO, ferrimagnetic material. So here the domain aligned in such a way that there is a small net magnetic moment, which means they are weakly attracted by external magnetic field because here unequal number of unpaired electrons are oriented in opposite direction. So that if net magnetic moment is not equal to 0. And the examples are Fe3O4 magnetite, then ferrites like MgFe2O4, certain Fe2O4, etc. Note. So we have dielectric properties of solids. A substance through which there is no net flow of electric charge when placed under an applied electric field is called as dielectric material. In dielectric substance, electrons are tightly held by individual atoms in presence of an electric field. The nuclei are attracted to one side and the electron cloud is attracted to other side, resulting in polarization, that is, charge separation takes place. Depending upon the alignments of dipoles formed due to polarization and the permanent dipoles which may be present in the crystals are classified into 4 types: piezoelectric crystal, pyroelectric crystal, ferroelectric crystal, antiferroelectric crystal. Let me consider piezoelectric crystal. When mechanical stress is applied, crystal deforms due to displacement of ions. This generates electricity called piezoelectricity, and the crystals are called piezoelectric crystals. When an electric field is applied to piezoelectric crystals, mechanical strain is produced due to atomic displacements. This phenomenon is called inverse piezoelectric effect. Example: titanates of barium and lead zirconate, ammonium dihydrogen phosphate, and quartz are piezoelectric crystals. Then second type is pyroelectric crystals. When some crystals are heated, they produce a small electric current. The electricity produced is called pyroelectricity, and the crystals are referred as pyroelectric crystals. Then third type, ferroelectric crystals. Even when the electric field is absent, the dipole of some crystals are permanently polarized. And when an electric field is applied, the direction of polarization changes. Such crystals are called ferroelectric crystals. Example: barium titanate, sodium potassium tartarate, which is also known as Rochelle salt, and potassium dihydrogen phosphate are ferroelectric crystals. And the fourth type, antiferroelectric crystals. In antiferroelectric crystals, the dipole align themselves in such a way that they point up and down alternately, so that the crystal does not possess any net dipole moment. Example: lead zirconate. Then here we have a concept map for the chapter solid state. So whatever we have discussed in the previous slides, it is given in terms of concept map. Students, if this page is helpful for you as well as for any of your contacts, so please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.